very different views. One expressing the view that Mr. Modi provides a sense of strong leadership and this is India's moment for an opportunity. And the other view is that the Prime Minister essentially, Indian foreign policy didn't start in 2014. This is a continuum. Let's not focus on optics, let's focus on substance. Where do you stand, Jay and Krishna? Do you see a qualitative change now in the relationship?
So Rajdeep, I wouldn't like to get dragged into the BJP versus Congress issues. But the fact is the Prime Minister has provided, I mean, the leadership that you see today is more decisive and strong. There is no doubt about it. But, all this optics eventually has to translate into business. In today's world, all bilateral ties have to, eventually boil down to economics. That's very, very important. So I think that is where, to my mind, US has been telling India time and again that, its trade regime should be more liberal. India has been believing in protectionism, which should not be the case. And US had certain countermeasures like, India's GSP trade, which India has been saying you must revoke it, kind of a thing. But to my mind, if you look at the bilateral trade itself, in the last 12 months, we have had 132 billion worth of bilateral trade between the two countries. And US imports almost 2 times the amount that it imports versus what it exports to India. And among the major countries in the world, US is the only trade partner of India where the trade surplus is in favor of India, because of soft IT and IT-enabled services, diamonds, minerals, and things like that India exports to the US, So I think this has to be taken to the next level of maturity very clearly. We have to be believers that trade could become an important part of GDP growth. And other thing which I'm slightly disturbed is about the FDI. FDI in real sense has declined a bit. If you look at last 12 months, the total FDI, the US investments into India have been of the order of 47 billion, which is almost down by 22%. So I think, and this despite the fact some big ticket investments like Apple, what it has announced about its manufacturing plants leveraging India, So I think all these things are far more important to my mind than just, optics. So eventually, how useful, this Prime Minister's state visit is in terms of making the trade regime between the two countries more liberal. I don't expect a trade treaty to happen, but at least some of the irritants that got to be removed. It's a cold, simmering kind of a tension, not a flashpoint though.
Right.
So I think it needs to be resolved, and India has a far greater appetite and hunger for investment, for FDI. That's very important, which, as I said, has fallen in last 12 months vis-a-vis the previous 12 months.
It's interesting how you're posing it there. I just want Zafar Islam to respond. At the moment, the one danger is that sometimes optics overtakes substance. Are you confident, Zafar Islam, going ahead, that substance at all time will be looked at, not optics? The photo ops are great. We will need much more than that. Technology transfer, great. Clean energy, important. Do you see that happening? We've also got reports coming in that 75 US congressmen are going to have written to President Biden about India's human rights record. President Biden is not expected to lecture India on human rights, but are these irritants, or do you believe that with Prime Minister Modi, it will be about substance and not optics?
Certainly, Rajdeep, and let me tell you a very important thing, that first, that the leadership has to recognize its strength, the nation's strength, and it has to be properly exploited on the global platform. That is what being done by the Honorable Prime Minister, because he recognizes the strength of the country and he has been able to capitalize on those the opportunities which the world offers, and taking India and taking dissent for India's advantage. Something which has been demonstrated. I am not saying that the earlier Prime Minister was bad or good. All I am trying to tell you that he has to recognize the strength of the country, and it needs to be exploited for the benefit of the nation, which is being done by the Honorable Prime Minister. It's not optics, it's more substance.
Right.
And it is evident from all the speakers the last one hour you have spoken to different experts. They all have spoken that India has become a very, very strong nation. It is an evolving situation for India. It offers a lot of opportunity for the global community, and they have all spoken about the leadership quality and the political will which has demonstrated while taking decisions to safeguard the interests of the nation.
Okay, you're saying that, Supriya Shrinate, the final word therefore to you. You know, there was always a consensus on foreign policy. That seems to have broken down. It almost seems that domestic issues now, the domestic polarization is also carried on to foreign policy. Why not say that Prime Minister Modi represents India there, so whatever benefits come to India, to India's benefit?
To the extent he represents India and champions our rights and champions the needs of Indians, absolutely we are on board. But to the extent that he is going to look the other way when India's rights are going to be marred, to the extent that he is going to not name China and we are going to pay a heavy price in the United Nations, to the extent that he is going to keep quiet on Manipur and go on this trip. Manipur is a state of India, please understand that. 121 people dead, 51 days, not a word from India's Prime Minister. What moral authority do we have to lecture anybody on peace? What moral authority does he have to bow before Gandhi at the United Nations? Because the reality is, people who are dying in Manipur are Indians. To the extent he is willing to talk on that, I'm absolutely on board. But the reality is that foreign policy in the last 9 years has been reduced to event management. It's all about
Let
Mr.
me leave
Modi,
it there.
because his foreign policy is based on two legs.
Okay.
The first leg of the foreign policy is Adani,
Rajiv, can I
and
just
the
take
second
10
leg of
seconds,
that
please?
foreign
Yes.
policy is domestic applause. He doesn't care about India's world order in the global stage. That's the reality.
Okay, I'm going to have a story on Manipur in a moment, but I think Zafar Islam, you deserve 30 seconds to answer to that, because it is the third time Supriya Shrinate has raised the issue that the Prime Minister is focused on improving ties with United States, consolidating that, not a word on Manipur. A quick response to that and then we'll close.
It's a part of India. I
Well,
wouldn't raise that
see,
issue.
well, the issues, the domestic issues is being tackled by the Home Ministry, the Interior Minister, and this should not be, the domestic issues cannot be mixed with the global issues or the diplomatic relations which we are having with the country. These are two independent things which need to be pursued independently. Issues here, I'm not discounting anything, that Manipur issues needs to be dealt properly, and it is being dealt properly. This issue needs to be resolved, and is being Government of India is working towards that to resolve and maintain the peace and tranquility there. But mixing the two is something only if you are doing it for optic purpose, then you can do that. But the people do understand that foreign policy is very different from the domestic policy, and you cannot mix the two. You have to differentiate between the two.